Hey guys, it's Mike and I'm back today with a quick review and discussion of the Asus S400CA. This is a laptop computer. It's a lot like an Ultrabook, but doesn't quite have the specs to qualify as an Ultrabook, but it's a 14-inch portable laptop computer with a touch screen. As I was doing research to make this purchase myself, I found that there weren't a lot of reviews and commentary about the 14-inch model. There's also the S300CA, and I think there's a 15-inch model, the S500, but not a lot of reviews and images and things of the 14-inch model. So just wanted to give you some of my preliminary perspective. So this is the machine right here in front of me. As you can see, so I'll just go through some of the design elements here. This is all aluminum on the top. As you can see, it's got a real nice kind of brush texture. Obviously, the Asus logo here is sort of embossed in stainless steel or something like that. It is shiny. This marks with fingerprints really easily. I was surprised when other reviewers said that because it is dark. It's not, if you're used to the MacBook Pro style of aluminum construction, this top part is not like that. It's quite dark and brushed, and so I thought it would be fine for fingerprints, but it actually does show them because it is really glossy, and you can see as the light sort of reflects off it here. So on the side, I'll show you this side first. There we go. So obviously a blue representing the USB 3.0. Then you have a full HDMI port, VGA port, and this sort of little fold down Ethernet port, and then the power input. On that side, no ports on the back. And then on this side, got two USB ports there, Kensington lock, combined microphone and headphones, and then an SD card slot there as well. Interesting design. You can see it sort of tapers, or at least the laptop itself doesn't really taper, but this aluminum wrap, which carries onto the keyboard, sort of tapers, and then underneath here, the actual laptop doesn't get much narrower, but then you have this sort of underside, which is actually a sort of black rubbery material. So it does give this impression of a taper, which I thought was a pretty interesting design. So that's the top and the sides, and again, not a whole lot on the front. There is one light that lights up on the front, and then the rest are actually on the keyboard panel. And then on the bottom, you just have a vent, and then your speakers are there and there on the side. Sort of hard to see off the side of the frame there. There's one, and then there's the other there. So they kind of fire down, which isn't ideal. And then you have these rubber little pads to set it down on the table. So that's the machine. I'll open it up here and boot it up, and you can see what the boot time is like. I'm just going to adjust my camera here a little bit. Maybe first I'll show you what the actual keyboard and layout of other design elements is like. So this is all aluminum here as well, which is quite nice. Nice big trackpad here. But yeah, again, all aluminum. It's not aluminum looking plastic or anything like that, and this is a budget laptop, so you might expect to see that type of thing, but this is all aluminum, which is quite nice. And then you have these kind of chiclet style keys, a lot like a MacBook, for example, MacBook Pro, very similar in design. And then there's the screen, obviously glossy. Get it booted up here, and you can kind of see. So one thing about the screen that you probably would be familiar with, it's not an IPS display. So for a budget machine like this, you probably wouldn't expect it, but you don't get the great viewing angles that sometimes you would expect on some of those higher quality displays. So as you see, boot up time really quick, which is great. You can obviously use the trackpad, and then you have the these touch screen elements as well, which is really good. So I've just logged into my account here, and you can see I've got the Windows 8 64-bit interface here. So this is sort of what it looks like. You know, you need to get comfortable with Windows 8. It is a little bit different. It is designed for touch screens, so this is you know, something that you want to have, and this machine obviously satisfies that. The Asus machines, they do come with a lot of bloatware, and so you do have to remove some of that, which I've already done, but it really was slowing things down a little bit. On the Windows 8 home screen here, you have all of these apps that are available in sort of their own app store. You know, you can learn more about Windows 8 from a number of different places online, so I won't talk about that too much. As you can see here, there's a pretty wide bezel on the sides, and then the top and the bottom. So it's a 14-inch screen, but it's actually, you know, diagonally, there's a lot more glass on the panel than that. And that's because some of the touch gestures for Windows 8 require you to swipe over from the side. So as you can see, you have some icons that come up there. You know, it doesn't work if you do it actually on the screen. You actually have to start off the screen and drag out, and then you have, you know, settings and things like that. Same thing from the top. If you do that, you get some, you know, you have this customized button and from the bottom as well. So pretty good display. I mean, you know, it's not going to be great given it's not IPS display. You know, the touch screen sensitivity is pretty good, and it is multi-touch, so you know, you can use lots of different gestures if you want to move things around and things like that. And same with the trackpad, you have that ability as well. So that's pretty good. In terms of performance, I've got the Core i5 version, which you can see right there. There's a little sticker that comes into focus. So this is the i5 3317U processor, you know, pretty standard on a lot of machines these days. And as I tell you about this, I'm going to give you a couple of close-ups. Oh, and down here I will mention, there's the one light. Let's get it to focus a little bit. There you go. You've got the one power light there that actually has two LEDs, so you can see when it's closed. You know, it'll flash if you're in standby mode, and then you've got a couple of other notifications, but you only see those when the lid is open. So talking about performance again, you know, the i7 processor, or sorry, the i5 processor is pretty good. It certainly should be good enough for everyday use, and I don't think they make this model with an i7 or anything more powerful than that. So that's as good as you're going to get, and they have less powerful versions, and I'm sure they wouldn't make those models if they ran too slowly. So the i5 is certainly okay for most daily needs. Maybe I'll just go ahead and open something like Netflix, and you can kind of see the boot up process. I'll open up a couple of apps, and you can see. For my use, which is mostly internet browsing and things like that, it's been totally sufficient. The only one problem that I've had, and it's not a performance issue, is actually I had a problem with the keyboard. One of the keys hasn't worked too well, so that's a bit of a problem, but so be it. So you can see there you've got, you know, all sorts of different things, and Netflix comes up reasonably quickly. That's probably more of an internet connection thing. So there you go. The Netflix app on Windows 8 is pretty good. So it's pretty nice and interactive, and it's nice to have the touch screen to be able to look through things like that. If you hit this button there, you'll get back to the home screen, and then obviously you can have a bunch of apps running it at once. You know, Netflix is still open in the background. So, you know, my perspectives again would be the construction's really interesting. Again, the only problem that I've had so far with the actual construction is one of the keys to stop working a little bit, or it's just a little sticky. Hopefully that's not a normal problem though. And one other observation I would make is that because this is a touch screen and it is a bit bigger, it weighs quite a large component of the weight of the machine is in the screen. So when you kind of pull the machine down and drop the lid like that, it really does feel like most of the weight is in the lid, and that's a lot different if you're kind of used to a normal laptop. That might be a little different from what you're used to. I'll just show you some of the higher quality of the ports here as well. But otherwise, performance-wise, I've been totally happy with this machine. It does have 4 gigabytes of RAM. That's not upgradable though, unfortunately. So 4 gigabytes is all you're going to get. 500 gig hard drive, and I don't believe this has any solid-state drive, although I've seen other people suggest that there are variations of this model that do have a solid-state drive, but I don't think mine does for whatever reason. But you know, the boot up speed, as you would have seen, is very, very quick, and it is very responsive in many ways. So that hasn't been a problem, and obviously this is sort of a budget machine, so you wouldn't expect to get, you know, a big chunky solid-state drive. You can upgrade that. It does require you to be a little handy with, you know, computer upgrades and hardware and things like that, but you certainly can do it if you really want a solid-state drive and you really want a little more performance. So those are some of my perspectives. As I just give you some more angles here of the machine. So overall, I would say, I mean, you can pick this machine up for probably $650 or so. And at that type of price point, I mean, I don't know that there's many other touchscreen Windows 8 i5 laptops that you can get in that price range. There certainly are some, you know, I know that the Acer Aspire M5 is, you know, similarly priced and probably better reviewed than this machine, but I haven't had any problems with this, and for the price, you know, I think that it's been very, very good value. So if you can get it, you know, less than that $650 mark at the time that I'm doing this review, you know, it's definitely worth considering. I would suggest it's worth going into a store and actually holding this in your hand, though. I mean, if you really want the true Ultrabook experience, this isn't quite thin enough to be considered an Ultrabook, and I know that the technical specs don't allow it to be called an Ultrabook either, because I think you need to have a solid-state drive of a certain size as well, and some other things. So this isn't an Ultrabook, but it's certainly trying to be. But you should go and give it a try in the store before purchasing online or elsewhere, because it's important to understand, you know, whether the thickness of it and, you know, just having that hard drive instead of the solid-state drive is going to be something that, you know, is going to bother you, and maybe you should, you know, pay a little more for something else. So hopefully this has been helpful. Thanks again for watching.